Shall we start?
Yes, please, Sheikh.
Okay. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين لا سيما بقية الله في الأرضين أجل الله تعالى فرجه الشريف اللهم أخرجني من ظلمات الوهم وأكرمني بنور الفهم اللهم افتح علينا أبواب رحمتك وانشر علينا خزائن علومك برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. So alhamdulillah, we have tawfiq to continue our study of Adaab al-Muta'allimin. As you remember, we were talking about the manners with respect to choosing knowledge or discipline, teacher, partner for discussion, and consistency. We reached this point. Khwajah Nasir al-Tusi rahmatullah said, وَيَخْتَارَ الْعَتِيقِ دُونَ الْمُحْدَثَاتِ قَالُوا عَلَيْكُمْ بِالْعَتِيقِ وَإِيَّاكُمْ بِالْمُحْدَثَاتِ. When it comes to choosing a subject or a book for a study, choose something which has history, something which has been well received throughout the centuries, something which is part of a tradition of a scholarship. And we said it's possible to have new ideas, and we encourage people to be thinking and having their own creative ideas, but it should be coming as offshoot of the same tree of knowledge, something that you can be loyal to the tradition and take it further. Not that you ignore all the heritage and all the legacy of the scholars and then say something which is not based on any scholarship. So especially for students, this is very important. If someone becomes a scholar and is established, then he can read different books, new ideas, and evaluate them. But especially a student which is still in formation needs to be familiar with the foundations and origins and legacies that we have received. This is very important. If, for example, in the world of medicine, if there are some people who have different ideas, maybe alternative methods, etc. Okay, for someone who is a professor of medicine, it's good to deal with them, study them, but we don't bring these things to the textbooks of medical students. Then he says, وَيَخْتَارَ الْمُتُونَ لَلْحَوَاشِي كَمَا قِيلَ عَلَيْكُمْ بِالْمُتُونَ. One of the things that Khwajah Nasir recommends is, as much as possible, try to choose textbooks for your study, not hawashi. Hawashi means like margins. In the past they used to put comments on margins. Then we have now footnotes and endnotes, but if you look at the old manuscripts, you see they put on the margins. These footnotes are very good, very helpful if they are by scholars. One of the beautiful aspects of our tradition is that when people find a good book, instead of writing another book, they try to just put their comments. Either they agree or they disagree. If they agree, they don't put comments. But if they disagree, or if they can add something, they make comments. Even sometimes they say, we disagree with this book, but we found it valuable. It's worth commenting. This is good. But again, a student has to start with the text, not jump to the comments. Yeah? This is very important. I remember, we had this poem in Farsi and in Arabic. Sometimes they make funny poems, mix of, for example, Farsi and Arabic. So it was like this. Although if you want to say it in Arabic, you have to make changes. But it's Farsi Arabic. ألا يا أيها الطلاب الناشي عليكم بالمتون لا بالحواشي. Nashi in Arabic is nasha. Nasha means someone who is new, is growing. In Farsi, nashi means someone who is not a professional, amateur. So it says, "O tullab who are new, alaykum bil mutun la bil hawashi." So this is very important. I don't know if you have noticed about my lectures. I very much try to base my lectures on textbooks, although I have occasions, for example, that I have to talk about. But for several years I try to teach text for different reasons. One is this: because people should be aware of our textbooks, or books which are not textbooks but are scholarly books. They know where it starts, where it ends, what is the structure, who has written this. It's very helpful. I can give series of lectures, and even it's easier for me just to say whatever I want, and I can use a book, but I can say whatever I want. But I think I have to train people to read these books from beginning to the end, as inshallah we'll see, to be familiar with our scholars, and then little by little themselves get into a scholarship. Also, this is a way to show that how much work, alhamdulillah, our scholars have left for us. So, يختار المتون لا الحواشي. What about selecting teacher? أما اختيار الأستاذ فينبغي أن يختار الأعلم والأورع والأحسن. When you want to choose teachers, if you have ability to choose, for example, you are in Qom, in Najaf, or in a place that you have choice, or you want to benefit from recorded lectures, choose people who are a'lam. Like in marja, we say marja should be a'lam, is the most knowledgeable. So for this topic, who is a'lam? Who has more knowledge? Okay, a'lam among those who are available. Awra, who is more pious? Don't just think about who teaches better. Who has more knowledge, more piety? Wal asan, who is older? Sen means sometimes sen in Arabic means tooth. Asnan means tooth, but sen also means umr, it's age. So it's good to choose people that have more knowledge, more piety, and older. They are older. Why? To have more knowledge is obvious, because they can better teach the subject. More taqwa, because our teacher should be our role model. Asan, why older? Because the one who is older has more experience. Experience is very, very important in every field, especially in scholarship and leadership. Experience is very important. They have experience, they have history, even their taqwa is more established, because people can change. Now, you want to choose which subjects, which texts, you need to do mashwara, you need to consult, because you are not expert, yeah? So you have to ask people of the field, especially if you have managed to identify teacher, ask your teacher or teachers. ينبغي أن يشاور في طلب أي علم يراد في المشي إلى تحصيله. So any science, any knowledge that is desired or he has will to go for a study should do mushawara, consult. Okay, now many times you need to travel. Sometimes in your locality it's not available, or even sometimes ulama say that even if in your locality there are some scholars who can teach you, it's better to migrate somewhere else for different reasons, because sometimes there are more teachers available, plus for someone who really wants to become a scholar, it's better to be away from his own or her own city for some time. Yeah, because when you are in your own city, you have lots of things that may distract you. So it's good that at least for some time you experience being away and just focus on a study in a hub for learning. Now, you have gone to another city, another country for learning. Khwajah says, because he has lots of experience, he says, don't quickly choose ustad and subject and or madrasa and start. Try to wait there, for example, 2 months. Go to different lectures, meet different people, inquire, seek advice, opinion, mashwara, then choose. Because if you go to one ustad and try and then leave, it's not good, and maybe someone else is available. So it's better to wait, not rush. If you can do this before going, you can go, but many times you have to go and see which teacher matches your way of understanding and learning, because sometimes maybe there are 2, 3 who are very qualified, but I see this one is the one that I can really benefit from. There are different styles, even the pace. إذا دخل المتعلم إلى بلد يريد أن يتعلم فيها. When the learner, the seeker of knowledge, enters a land that wants to learn in that place, فليكن ألا يعجل في الاختلاط مع العلماء. He or she should not rush in mixing with ulama, rather وأن يصبر الشهرين, wait 2 months, حتى كان اختياره للأستاذ لم يؤد إلى الترك, so that when he chooses ustad, then would not need to change and leave this ustad, because it's not good. Especially if ustad has limited number of students. Suppose ustad has 5 students, 6 students, then few people go, and then after a few weeks don't go. It gives bad message and signal also to other students. It's better that you go and then remain. لم يؤد إلى الترك والرجوع إلى الآخر فلا يبارك له. If you change ustad and go to another ustad, then this would not bring barakah to your study. You have to be very careful. If it's necessary, okay, but if you can plan in the way that you choose a ustad After you have taken your time and you have done studies, then you don't need to change. Just a few days ago, I had a class with the sisters in Qom who are becoming, inshallah, teachers. So I told them a story. I said, when I was in the school, in madrasa in Qom, as I was still bachelor in my maybe second year of study. I remember our principal, who is a very great man, and may Allah prolong his life. So our principal was every now and then having a session for us. We called it Naqd Barrasi. Was one of the best memories of my life. So he used to give us some points, some recommendations, and also students, if they had any issues, they put to write it and put it in a box, and he was reading them and addressed those letters also. Sometimes this was happening that some students were not happy with the teachers that the school had introduced. Because in Hose, our tradition has been like this, and it's still in advanced levels is like this. That in the Hose in the past, we had this great tradition that, and still, as I said, we have it to some extent. You choose your teacher. No one chooses for you the teacher. Okay? So this is good that you can choose anyone that you want. The Hose, there are many people that sometimes you ask someone who is starting for the first time, but you trust him and you think he's a good person. Sometimes you ask someone who teaches few people. Sometimes go to a lecture that teaches hundreds of people. So you choose. It's very good. But now when there is a school chooses for you. Okay, so sometimes a school was choosing a teacher and some students were not happy, and they were putting notes, for example, please change this teacher. Then our principal said, if needed, we will change because we want you to learn, but this will shorten our life. That we invite a teacher, and then we would say, sorry, students are not happy, or because in Hose tradition, respect for teacher is very, very important, and it's bringing tawfiq. And if we are disrespectful, is very, very bad. So he was saying that it will shorten our life, and this remained in my mind because it was very strong statement, and it's true. So Khwajah says, فَلَا يُبَارَكُ لَهُ. If you go to Ustad and then don't continue, then your study would not be blessed. فَيَنْبَغِي أَنْ يَثْبُتَ وَيَصْبِرَ عَلَى أُسْتَاذٍ وَكِتَابٍ. This is very, very important point. I am sure you have found this in other areas of life as well. There are people who get excited, they start something, then in the middle leave it, then start something else. Even some people with their studies in university, they do this. Some people with job, they keep changing. There was a person that in our family that he used to have a shop but keep changing. For example, sometimes selling gold, sometimes selling clothes. Every 2-3 years he used to change. But this is not going to work. Yeah, because for business you need to allow few years so that your business is established, and if you keep changing, it never gets established. Maybe it's possible that you make mistake or the market changes, you have to change. I'm not saying that till end of your life you should not change, but I'm saying do good research consult people who are aware and experienced, and make up your mind and give it in time. Especially when you undertake a project, finish it. In Farsi we say کارو کی کرد اون که تمام کرد. Who did the job? The one who finished the job. Sometimes several people start something and they leave it. For example, like we want to make a mosque, for example. So different committees come, different people come to do something, but the main person is the one who finishes the job. Yeah, I also say to our brothers and sisters, that we work with in Qom, I say we are like a football team. We need people who manage to strike. Yeah, because if you play 90 minutes, very good, football, but you don't have anyone who can strike a goal, then all people feel that their efforts didn't bear that much fruits. Sometimes we do lots of work, but we need someone to finish it so that we see the result. For example, sometimes we spend lots of time on a book, but then if the book is not finished, or on a website or whatever, then it's bad. So we need to learn that we don't quickly say yes. We think about it. But when we say yes, or we undertake something, then as much as possible try to finish it. This gives you good feeling, strengthens your confidence. Also, other people can trust you, that this person finished this. Yeah? But if you have a reputation of not finishing, then no one can trust you. فَيَنْبَغِي أَنْ يَثْبُتَ وَيَصْبِرَ عَلَى أُسْتَاذٍ وَكِتَابٍ. So you must be consistent, be patient with a teacher and book, حَتَّى لَا يَتْرُكَهُ أَبْتَرٍ, so that you don't leave it abtar. Abtar? إِنَّ شَانِئَكَ هُوَ الْأَبْتَرِ. Abtar means something which has not ended nicely, or something which could continue and bear fruits, but all of a sudden is interrupted. وَعَلَى فَنٍ حَتَّى لَا يَشْتَغِلَ بِفَنٍ آخَرٍ قَبْلَ أَنْ يَصِيرَ مَاهِرًا فِيهِ. You should not start a discipline, a science, and then leave it, start another one and leave it. You must make sure that you have become learned in this field, skillful, and then you go to another discipline. If you have started sarf or nahv or aqaid or ahkam, learn it properly. Shahid Thani in Munyatul Murid, he says, you must continue every science as much as at least you can teach one book in that subject. How much aqaid you should study? At least to the extent that you can teach one book of aqaid properly. Is the minimum. Also, you must be patient with the place that you go. Ala baladin. You have gone to Qom, you have gone to Mashhad, you have gone to Najaf. Okay. Hopefully you have done good research before that. Now that you go there, as soon as you face some problems or you hear positive things about another place, don't say, okay, now let's pack and go to another city. Be patient. حتى لا ينتقل إلى بلد آخر من غير ضرورة. Without necessity, don't move to another place. Why? فإن ذلك كله يفرق الأمور المقربة إلى التحصيل. You know, for learning, for a study, there are things that we need to come together. These are things that we call them tawfiq. Yeah, when many factors are to be together so that you can do your study. If you keep traveling, if you keep changing ustad, changing book, changing subject, your tawfiq would be harmed. Maybe you go from this city to another city, then you become ill, maybe you face some problems over there. If you can learn enough here, continue. When you finish that you have learned everything possible in this city, then you may go to another city. وَيَشْغَلُ الْقَلْبَ وَيُضَيِّعُ الْأَوْقَاتِ. These things will make heart busy. Yeah, it's not easy to travel from one city to another city, or sometimes from one country to another country. You have to arrange, lots of things, accommodation, furniture, visa, etc. The next thing is about partner for study, sharik. Because in addition to choosing good subject, good ustad, good book, we need friends, if possible. Of course, if you don't have any friends, still you continue, but it's very, very helpful if you can find 1, 2, 3 people that you can take lessons together, you can discuss, you can share notes, you can encourage each other. It's very important. I stop here. Inshallah, we will discuss this issue, which is very important, in the next session, inshallah. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. If you have questions from sisters here or in homes online, then inshallah we can address.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Alaykum assalam wa rahmatullah.
How do you know what to study?
Sorry. Yeah, there are sciences that are automatically coming one after the other, in the sense that some are prerequisites for the others. For example, if you want to become a good scholar, you need to start with Arabic, with sarf, nahw, syntax, morphology, rhetorics, some logic, some aqaid, some ahkam, and then you go to fiqh, usulul fiqh, kalam, philosophy. There is a style. But right now, since you are maybe not thinking of becoming a scholar and just want to know for yourself, or you are testing, or you are waiting for another time to study more, so the things which are necessary are aqaid, ahkam, akhlaq. There are 3 major things that we need to learn. Ahkam for ourselves and also maybe helping our family. Aqaid, which is the root and foundation, and akhlaq. But if you want to become a scholar, you need to go through the system of learning and have the preparatory sciences and then the main sciences. And this is alhamdulillah established.
So it's not necessary to go to Hawza, for instance, if you're not planning on being a scholar. It's just you learn all of these things in courses like this, masalan.
Yeah, of course, if you can go, it's great. Even if you can, find the Hawza or go Hawza study for a few years in the Hawza would be great. But it's not necessary in the sense that if you cannot go there, say, okay, I am totally deprived. So whatever is working for you and is available, benefit from it. And then these things themselves pave the way for future. So if you have good grasp of aqaid, akhlaq, you know the books, you know the traditions, you know how a scholarship is offered, it can help you for your future. But my idea is that I don't say everyone should go to Hawza, although it's a great thing, but people need to see what type of character they have, what type of expectations they have, what type of talents they have. Some people may need to go to Hawza, become a scholar. Some people may need to do other things. But everyone should have some good grasp, some good knowledge of Islamic subject, especially aqaid, akhlaq, and ahkam or fiqh. If you can spend more time and focus, of course, that's great. But you shouldn't think that because I cannot do that, then I cannot do anything. Any question here? You have questions? Okay, if there is no question, so we end with dua faraj. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. اللهم كل وليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا. For Shifa of all ill people, and for Rahman Maghfirah for all mu'minin and mu'minat who passed away, and for health of our parents who are alive and their Maghfirah if they have passed away. Please recite 3 salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Sister Nabila, if anything you want to say or?
No, Sheikh. Sorry, I was just logged out of my main account, so I've logged on with the phone, so I haven't been able to see if the sisters sent any questions on the chat.
No. Okay. There is one question. Doesn't the teacher also have to select the students? Yeah, actually, this is also something that Shahida Thani Muniyatul Murid talks about it. It depends. It's very interesting. At the same time that we say that a student should find teachers who are very knowledgeable and pious, etc. Shahida Thani says teachers should not expect too much from students, because sometimes people at the beginning they don't have clear idea, or they are in the state of formation. So don't be very selective. Let them come and see and learn from other people. Of course, this is one point. Sometimes for example, we want to take people as Hawza students. There is program, there is expectation. You have to filter. But sometimes is sharing knowledge, as we do in Masjid, in Husseiniya. We don't select people. We say everyone is interested can come. So it depends on the setting, on the program, etc. But teachers sometimes for some topics, especially difficult topics in philosophy or irfan, they allow some people to attend. But in general, teachers don't investigate too much, because this is process of growing. I saw only this question.
I have one more question, Sheikh, if you don't mind.
Yes.
Just one more little one. So after this course, for some of us who want to continue,
yes,
where do we go next?
So if you are happy with continuing, so inshallah we can plan something. As long as there is interest, we are there to continue. We have started, for example, Kawsar Learning Circle for 1 year, then there was interest, we added another 2-year program, then another 2-year program, so we have now 5-year program, but 3 levels. Here also, inshallah, we can continue, because if you really taste knowledge, you become more and more thirsty. You never become satisfied. If you have not absorbed, you feel not good. But if you absorb, you become more thirsty.
Okay, thank you so much.
May Allah bless you inshallah. التماس دعاء.
Thank you.
خدا.
Thank you so much, Sheikh.
Thank you very much. خدا حافظ.